Okay, so our learning should be a panacea. We're going to start a new parak. What parak is this? The fourth parak. It's on Daf Yomi Warriors. Yeah, Taraf Bekalpi. Rashi says Taraf means he snatches. And Kalpi is the box. He snatches one of the lots, but actually he snatches both of the lots out of the box. However, I saw other translations say that Taraf means to mix. He mixes them up. You know, you mix a lot of. Well, Rashi is like using it as tear, like because you pull it like that. You know. But right, it can be torn. But is it Beitzim true face? It's like scrambled. So it could also be to mix. Taraf bekalpi velish negerelis, and he lifts up the two lots. Echad kasav alav l'shem. One says in it to Hashem, which was going to be the goat that was going to be a carbon chatas, and it's going to be offered in the base of English. Echad kasav alav l'Azazel. One says that it's going to be going to Azazel, which is the cliff that it's going to be pushed off. Hasagan b'yaminai breish pisav v'smalei. The second kayan, which I think we're assuming that the second kayan is the second in command, the Sagan, is going to be the one that would replace the kayan gadol, if he became tamei. And then there's the reish pisav. And the reish pisav was the head of that family that was supposed to be serving in the base of English that week. So the Sagan is on the right side of the kayan gadol, and the reish pisav is on the left. Im shel shem ala b'yaminai, when he lifts out the lotteries, so it would say on it Lashem, and one says Lazazel. If in his right hand it said Lashem, so then Haskan Emelai, the Sgan, which is on the right, he says to him, Ishi Kohen Gadol, my master Kohen Gadol, Hagbe Yimenecha, lift up your right hand. Im shel shem ala b'smalei, but let's say it came out on the left hand. So lift up your left hand. So they're pronouncing which goat is going to be the carbon chatas, the one that's Hashem. To show everyone. The sign, yeah. He was going to pronounce it as well, but just to lift it up. Apparently, it was a very good omen if it came out in his right hand. As we'll see. He then takes these lots, these cards, and he puts them on the two goats. So, and he says to the goat that's going to be the chatas, he says Lashem chatas, Hashem chatas. Rabbi Shmuel chatas, Rabbi Shmuel says that announcement doesn't need to include the word chatas, it just says Hashem. And they pronounce after him Baruch Shem Kvod Malchus Elon Avad, because when he said Lashem, he's actually saying the Shem HaMefarish. As we're going to see, that's going to be the 10th time that he's going to be mentioning the Shem HaMefarish. Okay, Lamali Taraf Bekalpi. Now we have two translations of this. Why does he need to snatch it out? Or why does he need to mix it before he takes it out? Because we don't want him to feel around and take out, that to work it out, that he should get it in his right hand, the one that says Lashem. In other words, the sign, the good sign, that if it says that if the one for Hashem comes up in his right hand, that we don't want him to orchestrate that. Well, if he feels around, maybe he's able to feel, maybe he's going to look inside also. Amar Rava, Kalpi Shaletzaisa. Rava says that the box was made out of wood. And it was also, wasn't sanctified, it was mundane. And it only can fit his two hands. Maskefla Ravina asks Rava directly, I guess. That's interesting. It's a little younger. He would be, usually there's conversations with Rava's son, I forget his name, Ravina. I get why you made it so small. Why they made it so small is so that you shouldn't be able to look inside while you're doing it and pick out the one that you want. Or maybe because it's so tight that you can't really feel around. Why does it have to be a mundane box? Let it be one of the boxes of the Beis Hamikdash, a klei sharis. The Gemara says, "Im kain have a klei sharis shalates, klei sharis shalates leivdina." We don't make klei sharis out of eights. Now the truth is, the Gemara doesn't get into this, but there was a machlekes about this. If klei sharis could be eights, it had to do with the flute. There was a flute. There was a question if the music. What was the main music in the Beis Hamikdash? Was it the singing or was it the instruments? If it's the instruments, and one of the music instruments was a wooden flute, and if that's the main thing, then we have a raya that the shares could be made out of. If it's not the main thing, it's just an accompaniment to the singing. Yeah, you have to ask at the concerts what's the main thing. So whatever the case is, our Gemara is accepting. That little Goya Nashas. Just look at Daf Nun. Yeah. That's what he's sending us to. Rabbi Kivega, the Goya Nashas is sending us to that Gemara. So you don't make a klei out of wood. So we're talking about the box. The Navta the Kesef. So why don't you make a better box? Make it out of silver, a little silver chest, like an esrog box, right? V'navda the Zav and make it out of gold. The Gemara says, we don't want to make it out of gold. We don't want to make it out of silver because it's going to be expensive. Yeah. So, the problem with this is that, what do you mean? In the Beis Hamikdash, they had so many things that were ostentatious, and here we're saying all of a sudden the cheap disposable. Shot must be that once you're not making it for the mitzvah, you have to draw the line that when it's a real mitzvah, when it's a real klei sharis, yeah, then you make it out of gold. When it's not, then it's very important. This is a very interesting Gemara that to be able to recognize. Sometimes when things get for the mitzvah, it turns out that certain things are not really the mitzvah, and you don't need to do it like that. They say the Gemara says that shlish b'mitzvah is supposed to spend an extra third on the mitzvah. So, for example, if an esrog costs $1.79, cost $100, so you're supposed to spend an extra third, 100 and I forget if it's a shlish mulbar. It's supposed to, let's say 150 or 133, whichever way you do it. You're supposed to spend extra. So one of the things that it mentions is, very nice. One of the things that it mentions is that a talus, you're supposed to spend extra on the talus. Now the talus is just the garment for the tzitzis. Ask a question, why doesn't it say that you should have a nice house for the mezuzah? Yeah, okay, whatever the case is. Yeah.
Yeah, did you say we don't make anything important out of wood in the Beis Hamikdash?
Yeah, so it turns out that there's machlekes in sukkah, like Rabbi Kiveger mentions over here, but our Gemara says that none of the klisharis are made out of wood.
But isn't the aron on the inside of the two gold layers in and out wood? And that's the holiest kli that was in the original base of Mikdash?
Yeah, there was wood there. There was wood. Yeah, it must be that the covering was more significant, according to this. The casing was more significant.
I thought you don't judge a book by its cover.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's a whole discussion in Masechtas Kalim. If you look at the coating, or if you look at the inside. Okay, Masnissen like Yaitan, our mission doesn't fit with the following author, with the following Tana. The Tanya was taught in a Brisa, Rabbi Yudayim, and Mishum Rabbi Eliezer, Sagan, Kain Gadol, Machnis Yadam Mekalpi. Look at that. We said in our Mishnah that the Kain Gadol puts both hands into the box and takes out the lotteries. There's two like cards there. One says for the chatas, and one says for Azazel. There were two goats. So we have a brisa where Rabbi Yehuda says in the name of Rabbi Eliezer that it actually wasn't the Kain Gadol that put both hands in. It was the Kain Gadol and the Sgan. They each put their hand in, their right hand. If it comes up in the right hand of the Kain Gadol, so Sagan Aimalai. So the Sagan tells him, Ishi Kain Gadol, Hagbe Yeminecha, lift up your right hand, show everyone what you got. In B'yamina Shel Sagana, if it comes up in the Sagan's hand, the one that says Lashem Chatas. So Reish Beisav Aimalai LaKain Gadol. So then the Reish Beisav, who was the other person, wasn't even involved in this. He says to the Kain Gadol, Daber Milach, say your speech. And I just pronounce which one it is. The Gemara says, "V'nei Sagan." Why are you mixing in this? He doesn't even put his hand in. Why doesn't the Sagan tell him to say? He says, "Well, even the Leisalik the other Shadaite." He may feel bad because the Sagan just got the winning number, and he says, "Pronounce that you didn't get it." So if it's someone else to say that you're supposed to, okay, fine. But the winner to tell the loser, it's like embarrassing. So not the losers and the loser, and the one that didn't win. Okay, B'maika Miflagi. What's the machlekes over here between our Mishnah that says the Kain Gadol puts both hands in and the Brisa that says the Sagan and the Kain Gadol put a hand in? Marsav, you mean in the Sagan that mismal the Kain Gadol? One says that the right hand of the Sagan is more significant than the left hand of the Kain Gadol. Marsav Kiyadadineno, another one says that no, it's equal, which means that it's okay for the Kain Gadol to use his left hand. Who argues with Rabbi Yehuda? Rabbi Yehuda said that the Sagan puts his hand in. He said the name of Rabbi Eliezer. Rabbi Chanina Skana Kainimu. So Rabbi Chanina Skana Kainim. This is so interesting. That Rabbi Chanina Skana Kainim has an opinion about what the Sagan is doing. The Tanya was taught in a Brisa. Rabbi Chanina Skana Kainim Maimer Lama Sagan Miyaminai. Now there's two versions to this Gemara. Lama Sagan Miyamin. Why is Sagan on the right side? Shamir by Psul b'Kain Gadol Nichnas Skana Misham Shtaftav. Rabbi Chanina Skana Kainim says there's two ways of looking at this. What is the purpose of the Sagan? That's the easy way. What's the purpose of the Sagan? Well, if the Kain Gadol becomes apostle, the Sagan, who's the second in command, takes over. And he'll replace the Kain Gadol. It's like the vice president. So now that doesn't fit with the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda, because Rabbi Yehuda says that the Sagan has a second job. Second job is that he stands over there and puts his hand in. He's more than just a replacement if the Kain Gadol becomes apostle. Right, he actually has a job. So Rabbi Chanina Skana Kainim says that the Sagan does not have a job. He's just there just in case. Yeah. No, the Sagan is the backup guy. I understand, but he is No, no. The Sagan is designated as the backup kohen. That's the way we're learning it now, at least according to it, right? No, that's what we're learning now. Back then, we learned it that we wanted a backup kohen. How was the man of the morning? No, I'm thinking around the whole year. He's around the whole year. He's around the whole year, but now he has another purpose. You're asking what was the preparation that they did for this person? They definitely didn't sequester him. We said that, right? Maskinim like kayan after taftav. Maybe it is the scam. Oh, no. You know, the Taisus Yishanim says Maskin Lekayin After Taftav means that they had to prepare him clothing that would fit him, golden clothing that would fit him. He never had golden clothing before. The scan. It was a regular kayan. Now they had to prepare him in the clothing, they had to take him to the tailor. So when we learned back in the day, it was the scan getting his clothing prepared, yeah. Tanur Abanan. Start in the Brisa. Arbaim Shana Shishim Shimon HaTzadik. The 40 years that Shimon HaTzadik was Ken Gadol, Hayagoyrel Oyla Biyamin. It always happened that when he put his hand into the box, he would pull out in his right hand Lashem Chatas. Right? There's two goats. And it was a lottery which one would be the Chatas, which one would be pushed off the cliff. How would they determine? So they put him on two sides of the Kohen Gadol, and he would put his hands in the box to pick out a lottery. This one would go this way, and this one would go that way, depending on what it said on that. So, two lotteries? Two lotteries, yeah. No, they didn't have that. Two. One said Lashem, one said Lashem, and one said Lazazel. Yeah, they would. So they would in the one box. Two lotteries in one box. Two lotteries in one box, and he would pick it out, and then he would place it on top of the goat. What do you mean? Oh, because of 40 years? How the odds are? So 1 in a trillion. The odds are. That's what Avram Nassim. The odds of 40 years of coming out every time. Every time is 1 in a trillion. Okay. I think it's just it's 1 in 2 every time. Okay. However, after Shimon HaTzadik, it was random. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Sometimes on the right, sometimes left. But Yeloshin Shel Zahiris Malbin. There was a red thread that was put in the horn of the one that went to Azazel. It would turn white. Mikan ve'elach, Pamim Malbin, after Shimon HaTzadik, it didn't always turn white. The white represented that the sins were forgiven. After that, it didn't always happen. See, what would happen is they would light the candles in the evening. In the morning, the Kayan would go inside and clean them out. Now, which one did he light first? In the evening, he lit the Ner Maravi first. Now, where's the Ner Maravi? There's two opinions. Depends on the way the menorah was facing. If the menorah was facing from east to west, and the Ner Maravi was the center one. If it's facing from north to south, then it's south to north. Then it's the center one. If it's from east to west, then the Ner Maravi is the one second from the east. There's the Mizrach, and then the one next to it was the Ner Maravi. Whatever the case is, that one was the first one to be lit in the evening, and in the morning they would go in. It would that was the one that was burning the longest. It was still burning. After that, sometimes it was out, sometimes it was burning. They would bring wood in the afternoon as well as in the morning, but they would just do that. They would just bring the wood for the mitzvah because the fire was always burning. That was a miracle that was happening. However, Mikan Be'ela, after Shimon HaTzadik, Pam Miskaber, Pam Mim Miskaber. Sometimes it was burning, sometimes not. The Kohen would have to bring wood the entire day. Keep the fire going. There was a blessing that was put into the Omer. That was the offering on Pesach. Shtei Alechem, the offering on Shavuos, and then the breads that were there every Shabbos. If you just got a kazayas, an olive size of this bread, some people, they would just eat a kazayas, they would be full. And some people, they would even have leftover. After that, there was like a curse in it. They would just get like a bean. The Tznuim would say, look, I'm not going to be able to fulfill the mitzvah anyway because I'm not getting a kazayas. So they would say, I don't need to eat this. And the other people, the gargarin, is the glutton, they would grab there was a story where someone took his portion and his friend's portion. It wasn't enough. So he took his friend's portion. They called him Ben Chamtzon until the day of his death. You see, there's a machlokes. Chamtzon is a robber, according to this. Chamtzon. Yeah, there's a machlokes. If not everyone can enjoy, should you let everyone have just a little bit, or should at least let one person get the full enjoyment? This guy held that at least let one person get the full enjoyment, and that person should be him. So he grabbed from someone else. It's like, look, you're not going to enjoy it anyway, so at least let me get everything. So the interesting thing is they called him a Ben Chamtzon. Why is he a Ben Chamtzon? If you say that Ben, yeah, I'm going to quote something that are going to tell us what it means. But if Ben means like a bar mitzvah, Ben mitzvah, so then fine. But if it means the son of, then that's not fair to call his father a Chamtzon. I mean, the father didn't do anything. Maybe he learned from his father. That's like, I know, but to give a guy a name, I think
the Mishnah Berurah refers to this regarding an argument about who's going to be the Shliach Tzibur.
Okay. Oh, you mean about with
But one should be quiet and let somebody else instead of having an argument to take note. I think, if I remember correctly.
Uh-huh. In other words, if there's like two yard sites or two, let the other person get it.
Exactly.
Uh-huh. Because you can claim that I'm doing it for the mitzvah, right? You can have it could be a religious thing, like the Chassidish Gneva. Okay, Amar Rabba bar Rab Shila, bar Shila. Mikra. What's the pasuk that says that the Chamtzon means a robber? It says Elikai Palteni miadrasha mikaf ma'aval v'chaimetz. Protect me from the hands of a rasha, from the hands of a sinner, and the chaimetz, which is a robber. Rabba Amar Mehacha, Limdu Hetiv, Dirsha Mishpat, Ashru Chomatz. Learn well, seek justice, and support. Chomatz is the victim of a robbery. Sorry. Ashrei Chomatz v'alta Ashru Chaimetz. Support the victim, don't support the robber. Now, Rashi says that was actually not meant for this Gemara. That's meant for the Gemara Sanhedrin, where it says that in Bezdin you listen to the Peveya, to the plaintiff before the defendant. Yeah, you let the victim, the one that's claiming something, speak first. You should say his claim. Well, that you have to do that anyway. But we have a source for it. Okay. Tana Rabbanan started in the Brayse Shana Shemes B'Shimon HaTzadik. The year that Shimon HaTzadik died, we had this in Menachos. Our Gemara gets cut off a little bit. There's a wild story afterwards, but we just have the beginning of it. The year that Shimon HaTzadik died, Amalam B'Shana Zulumis, he told him that this year he's going to die. Amalam Minayin Atideh, how do you know? Amalam B'Chol Yoim HaKippurim, every Yom Kippur. There was an old man that would appear to me. He was wearing white, dressed in white, like a white hat. He would come in with me and he would go out with me to the, I guess he's talking about the Kodesh HaKadoshim. This year, there was an old man that was wearing black, with a black turban, I guess, that he went in with me and he didn't come out. After the holiday, he got sick for 7 days and he passed away. Yeah, I think the source was before that, because this was understood. After that, they stopped using Hashem's name. They would just use, when they would say Hashem's name, they wouldn't use Hashem HaMachayr, so they just use the way we say. We don't say Yud Kevot, they would just say Adnai. Tosfos, I'm sorry? They felt they weren't on the level anymore after Shimon HaTzadik. Tosfos quotes Yerushalmi, Tosfos Yishanim quotes Yerushalmi. There's a big problem with this Gemara. It says, V'chol adam lo yeh ba'il mayid. No one's allowed to be in the Kodesh HaKadoshim when the Kohen Gadol goes in there. And Yerushalmi says, even those that are called Pnei and Pnei Adam, even the angels are not allowed to be there. And here we have an angel going in there. No? It's a good question. So he says, covered HaKadosh Baruch Hu Haya. It says it was covered. Maybe it's just a vision. Huh. Yeah, the Rambam would like that. There's a discussion the Rambam and the Ramban about how this works. Yeah. If it's just in the mind, or if it's actually in general, the Rambam and the Ramban argue about this. Okay. So the Gemara in Menachos finishes off that afterwards he has a son, Shimi, that he appoints to be the Kohen Gadol after him, remember? And Shimi, they tell him to Chanya, Shimi and Chanya. They tell him Chanya is supposed to be the Kohen Gadol. They dress him up as a in clothing that he said that looked like he came from his wife or his girlfriend, and then he goes to do the Avodah, and they chase him out. And it was like this crazy story. And he runs to Alexandria and he makes his own basic Mikdash over there. Chanya. Yeah. Yeah. The question is how that came about. But there were two versions of that story in Menachos. That was the grandson of Shimon HaTzadik, or son of Shimon HaTzadik. Now, Shimon HaTzadik, we know Shimon HaTzadik in Mashiach Knesset Gdela, but apparently there was a grandson also that was called Shimon, and who the story took place with may have been one of those, the grandfather, the grandson. Yeah, and who was called the Tzaddik? Could be both. Okay, Tana Rabbanan, Arba'im Shana Kedem Churban Abayis Leia Ger Leia Biyamin. We said after Shimon HaTzadik, sometimes yes, sometimes no. The 40 years before the destruction, it did not come up in the right hand. And the scarlet thread did not turn white. The candle, the western lamp in the menorah was not burning. The doors of the Heichal, which officially were very difficult to open, would open on their own. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai screamed at them. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai was there by the destruction. Remember, he was carried out in a coffin to visit Vespasian. Amarlai, he said to them, Heichal, Heichal, what are you doing? Why are you scaring yourself? I know that you're going to be destroyed. Open Lebanon your doors and let the fire burn your cedar wood. So I know you're going to be destroyed. So why are you opening the doors for? To tell us? We know what's going to happen. The doors open on their own. Right. But 40 years before. 40 years. They stopped opening? No. 40 years before, they opened. Yeah, and the doors open on their own. It was an occurrence where the doors open on their own. Rather than the Kohanim opening them up. They just opened up as if to let the enemy in. So the Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai says, what are you doing? He's talking to the doors. He says, what are you trying to show? That we should do tshuva, that you're going to be destroyed? We have the prophecy already. We know that we're supposed to do tshuva. The other people, obviously, they're not listening anyway. So who are you opening the doors for? For yourself? No, it just seems contradiction. It's that all the other miracles were happening, and 40 years ago, the miracle stopped. Yeah. Here it looks like that wasn't the miracle happening. Right. And suddenly a new miracle started. Right. The doors opened by themselves. Right. No, the doors opening meant that that the enemies were going to be let in. Could also be showing that the enemies shouldn't feel that they conquered the Beis Hamikdash with their own strength. This was orchestrated by Hashem. Zechariah ben Ido, it's not really ben Ido, it's Zechariah ben Brachia ben Ido Hanavi. Ido was the one that went to prophesy against the family of Yeravim ben Nevat. He went to prophesy against the north. What was the? Remember when he wasn't supposed to eat he made it over there. He wasn't supposed to eat, and then the guy convinces him to eat, and then he goes and he gets eaten by a lion on the side of the road or something. Hey, when that happens. Okay. Yeah. Who prophesied against when Yeravim stuck out his hand and it got stuck? Was that Ido? I remember. Stretched out his hand and his hand froze. Okay. Amar Yitzchak ben Tavlai Lam Nekashmai Levanin. Why is the Beis Hamikdash called Levanin? Because it says Psach Levanin. We quote from Zechariah. Psach Levanin Dalasecha. Why is it called Levanin? Shemal ben Avinisem Shal Yisrael. It whitens the sins of the Jewish people. Amar Rav Zutra Bar Tuvia Lam Nekashmai Yar. We also find that the Beis Hamikdash is called the forest. Why is it called the forest? The Ksiv, Beis Yar Levanon, the house of the place of the forest of Lebanon. Leimelach is coming to tell you, my Yar Malavle of Beis Hamikdash Malavle. It blossoms. The forest blossoms. Is that a tropical forest? A rainforest? It blossoms. So too, the Beis Hamikdash. Beis Hamikdash blossoms. There's a lot of things that we have to match up. I didn't go through it. The professor will tell us. The Amar Rav Hoshea b'shas shabana shleim beis hamikdash nata by kol mina megadim shel zav. He planted all of these delicacies of gold, but Yemitzim Paris is Manaim. And they would actually give out fruit. The wind would blow and the fruits would fall off. It would rustle like Lebanon. Period, the fruit. And that's how they had parnasa, the gold. Some Melech plants these trees out of gold, and they give golden fruit, and then
These real golden trees are the mango.
they were lychees. Okay, when the Goyim came in, it all dried up. The blossoms of Lebanon dried out. And in the future, Hashem will return it to us. It will blossom and rejoice, and the rejoicing and the honor of Lebanon is given to it. Now, there is a way of explaining this if you don't want to accept the miracle of it. That he set up these trees. People would come and give donations, and they would hang golden fruits on them. And then the Kayanim would be able to use those donations. Or it was a miracle. Depends which way you want to go. Okay. He put the two lotteries on the two goats. I saw it quoted. There's a sefer called Eshkol HaKefer. And he's the one that says that it wasn't a miracle. It's funny that Eshkol HaKefer, it's like Eshkol HaKefer. Eshkol is the grapes, and the Kefer. Okay, Taner Rabbanan, it was taught in a Brisa. There are 10 times that the Kohen Gadol mentioned the Shem HaMaperes that day. Gimel B'Vidi Rishon. 3 were said on his first confession that he said over his cow, his bull, the par. That was a korban that was brought for an atonement for himself and his family. Shleisha B'Vidi Sheni. The second one was said on the second cow, which was for the other kaina. Shleisha B'Sar Mishtalech. And then the third, then there were 3. There were 3. The last 3 were said by the confession over the goat that was sent off to Azazel. And one of them was when one pronounced by the lottery, said Lashem Chatas, he pronounced Hashem's name. Kvar, and it already happened. Oh, how do you say this? Ana Hashem Kvar Amar, when Kvar, and it happened. Amar Hashem v'nishma keleb Yerichai. He said, Ana Hashem, or Hashem, and his voice was heard all the way to Yerichai. Amar Rabba Bar Chana says, Mishleim Yerichai as a parsais. That's 10 parsais. Now a parsa is 4 mil. A mil is 2,000 amos. Right? So 4 mil, 40 mil. Right? 10 parsais. The doors of the Heichal, I guess they needed WD-40. But they would, when you would open them, the sound, we would take the sound away. But that was considered the event, that you would hear the doors opening. That sound was heard for 8 Chum Shabbos. The Chum Shabbos is 2,000 amos. 8 of them, 16,000 amos. Right, would be deafening. The way it's. When I was a kid, I remember they had me read a story in school. We haven't had this reading comprehension. we'd read these little cards, and then we'd have to answer questions. And one of them was about this fellow that lived near a mountain. And before he went to bed at night, he would shout, "Wake up, sleepyhead!" And the echo would come back in the morning and wake him up. Okay. So Izim Shebiricha him Misaches Meriecha Kteras. The goats of Yericha would sneeze from the smell of the Kteras. Nashim Shebiricha him Trichelis Basam Meriecha Kteras. The women of Yericha didn't need to use perfume. It smelled so nice from the Kteras. Kala Shebirushalayim, a Kala apparently puts on even more perfume. So in Yerushalayim, not in Yericha, but in Yerushalayim, she didn't even need any perfume from the Kteras. Amar Rabbi Yosi ben Dulgoy, Rabbi Lazar ben Dikloy, different versions here. Izim Hayala Abba, Bahare or Baare, Michmar, a lot of different versions going on here. My father had goats in this place, and they would sneeze from the Kteras. Amr Chia Barabin, Amr Yeshua ben Karcha. Chia Barabin says in the name of Yeshua ben Karcha, that's Rabbi Kiva's son. He says that an older person told him, one time I went to Shiloh. Now Shiloh was where the Mishkan was when they first came into. Yeah, that's what they say. Yeah, it could be, unless it's Yeshus Turnus Rafus, but I assume it's Rafus. He went to Shiloh and he was able to smell the Kteras from the wall, from the walls. He was able to still smell this. Yeshua ben Karcha has to be 1,000 years later after Shiloh, no? 400, and they built Mishka, they built the Beis Mikdash 480 years since they came out of the 440 plus another 4. So it's 1,500 years probably. And he was able to still smell the because Rabbi Akiva, no, but it's 400 years approximately until the Beis Mikdash was built. And the Beis Mikdash is built. That's 410 years. Then there's 420 years, and then there's 80 in the middle. So it's about 1,300 years. Rabbi Akiva is the end of the Beis Mikdash. 1,300 years, he's able to still smell the Kteras from the walls of Shiloh. Yeah. And afterwards. Okay, let's leave it over here.